As Maxine, it is today. There we go. Good morning, everybody. There is no fire drill planned today, so if the fire alarm does go off, please vacate the room and make your way to the car park at the front of the building. Could I also please remind members to make sure they turn on their microphones when they wish to speak and turn them off when they're finished? And can I please remind you all to put your phones on silent? Otherwise, I will gladly receive your £10 for my chosen charities. Julie, could you please start the recording? It has, there we go. Julie, would you like to do the roll call? Oh, do you want to do the roll call and then the silence? Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Councillor Anscombe. Councillor Ashby. Councillor Askew. Councillor Atterwill. Councillor Bambridge. Councillor Bate. Councillor Annie Blackburn. Councillor David Blackburn. Councillor Borrett. Councillor Bowes. Councillor Brindle. Councillor Marion Chapman-Allen. Councillor Sam Chapman-Allen.
Here.
Councillor Clark. Here. Councillor Clausen.
Here.
Councillor Cogman. Here. Councillor Cowan.
Here.
Councillor Crane. Present. Councillor Duffield.
Here.
Councillor Eagle.
Here.
Councillor Fraser.
Here.
Councillor Gilbert. Councillor Harvey. Councillor Hewitt.
Here.
Councillor Hunter Clark.
Here.
Councillor Hussey.
Here.
Councillor Cadell. Councillor Kiddle-Morris. Councillor King. Here. Councillor Kybird.
Here.
Councillor Land.
Yeah.
Councillor Middleton.
Here.
Councillor Morton. Councillor Nunn.
Here.
Councillor O'Callaghan.
Present.
Councillor Oliver.
Present.
Councillor Plummer. Councillor Richmond. Councillor Suggett. Present. Councillor Samantha Taylor.
Here.
Councillor Sarah Taylor. Councillor Taylor Taylor. Councillor Terry. Councillor Turner. Councillor Webb. Councillor Westman.
Here.
Councillor Wickerson.
Here.
Councillor Wilkin.
Ho, 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 here.
And Councillor Wilkinson.
Here.
Thank you, Julie. As many of you may already know of the passing of Lady Karen Fisher, Lady Fisher was a steward of public service and civic duty in Breckland and across Norfolk, and her loss will be deeply felt by all who had the privilege of knowing and working alongside her. Lady Fisher was previously a Breckland councillor elected in 2003 until 2012 and was a ward member for Harlyn and Heathlands. She was also a cabinet member, executive member for environment and recycling until 2011. We've also been informed of the passing of a former councillor and chairman of the council in 1993 to 94, Mr. David Sawyer. As a mark of respect, I would like us to stand in a minute's silence to reflect and remember them both, if we can, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I hope you'll indulge me for just a brief while. I spent many times in meetings with Lady Kay, who was, in all, a lady. She was a lovely, lovely person, and her pedigree showed through all the time. And I was in a meeting, a training for chairman, and this was many, many years ago. And I can't see anyone in the room who was in that meeting, but we were given role plays to do. And it was passed around. Actually, Teresa's smiling, she might have been there. We were passed around various characters that we had to be. So one person was elected as chairman, and we changed around every time. And in this particular role play, it was to do about a massive housing development beside resident places now. And so Lady Kay took the position of a big landowner, which was terrific because she, at the time, living in Kilverstone and what have you. And so she was Lady Kay Fisher, ideally for that. I played the part of someone who had many, many children, and they were little tykes, for want of a better word. So the role play was ahead. And Lady Kay, without any push at all, said, the problem, she said, I find, is that the children come onto my land and they defecate on my lawn. And I, playing a Luke, I meant to be Luke, I said, what on earth are you on about, woman? They do what? She said, they defecate on my lawn. I said, I ain't got a clue what that is. She said, well, basically, and yes, you can fill in the word for me. And the shock that such a word would come from such a lovely lady had us in absolute stitches. But that was the type of person she was. She spoke well. She was superbly well educated, but she was prepared to listen and be part of a people's and a community. And she will be greatly missed. Thank you.
Gordon.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, councillors, for allowing me to just say a few words. I too remember Lady Kay. I was elected in the same election she was, and I worked fairly closely with her on a lot of projects during the time she was a councillor. And I do remember, exactly as Nigel said, she was a real lady, but I can remember when I was getting involved in something in Thetford. And so she invited me down to Kilverstone one day, put me in her car, and we spent the day driving around Thetford and around a large housing estate there, which I can't remember the name of, but it's now being changed, I gather. And we spent a whole day riding around there, and she knew all of the problems. She knew all of the problems, and I'm sure she had most of the answers as well. But that was just what she was like. If she could help anyone who was a councillor who had got something to do, then she would do it. And I also got involved with her for a little while with YMCA, which she was fairly well involved with, and most of us would support YMCA and the work she had in that. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Thanks for those reflections, Nigel and Gordon, and probably for more pertinent for those who didn't know, but are probably more active in the Thetford community. Kay absolutely epitomised public service, and speaking to Kay's family since her sad passing, I'm sure like many others, we've had to bring them up to speed around the incredible charitable work she was doing under the radar without the family's knowledge. One, because the family probably would have been furious at how much time she was dedicating to the voluntary sector across Thetford, Norfolk and Suffolk. But more importantly, it was just ingrained in her DNA of public service and helping those who are less fortunate than herself. And regardless whether it was at Breckland, the YMCA, each, the Citizens Advice, education, whatever it was, Kay wanted to make sure that she understood the challenges the community which she lived in faced and made sure that she could get a better outcome for anybody and everybody. Within those charities in Thetford and some of the big organisations mentioned today, she will leave a big gap. And I hope that all of us will reflect on Kay's incredible work and actually continue to build upon that, not just in Thetford, but across the whole of this fantastic district and county. And she will be sorely missed, not just by those who knew her, but actually the communities and the voluntary organisations she worked hard to support.
Thank you. Julie, I'm ever so sorry, I missed out. Are there any further apologies? You do them?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I have apologies from Councillor Attewell, Councillor Gilbert, Councillor Harvey, Councillor Cadell, Councillor Kittle-Morris, Councillor Morton, Councillor Plummer, Councillor Richmond, Councillor Sarah Taylor and Councillor Terry.
Thank you. Are there any further apologies from the floor? No, thank you. Item 2 then, minutes. Are members happy to agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of October that can be found on pages 4 to 20? Councillor Middleton.
My name is not present on the last meeting.
Thank you. Once that's added, are members happy to?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest. Have any members any interest to declare? Moving on then, Chairman's announcements. I don't have any. I probably won't see most of you again now before Christmas, so I'll take this opportunity to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if I don't see you before then. But other than that, we'll move on to leaders' announcements.
Lovely, thank you, Chairman. Good morning, colleagues, and welcome to our last full council meeting of 2025. And let me start by wishing all of you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, as the Chairman said, if I don't get to see you before. At this time of year, it's always the role of the leader just to look back over the last 12 months and pay tribute to the hard-working officers and community champions across Breckland. And I just want to start by highlighting a meeting I attended last night in relation to NR19 and to thank that event organiser, Ian Clark, for comparing and Dereham Football Club for facilitating. I think those type of meetings amplify the importance of local democracy, but more importantly, that the community have access to those individuals in the seat of power, whether that's us as a district council or, on the case of last night, Norfolk Constabulary. It highlighted to us that there are big challenges in Dereham which all of us have to face together, not just Breckland Council, but all agencies within the locality of Dereham, Breckland and Norfolk. To make members aware, the follow-up immediate actions from that is that we will establish a Dereham task force. Part of that role will be bringing together all multi-agency partners across the wider Dereham area, the community sector, those voluntary groups and residents, to ensure we're not just looking at NR19, but some of the wider challenges Dereham faces. You'll be aware of communication we shared with members the latter part of this year in relation to a report from Sports England highlighting health inequalities within Dereham and how all of us have a job to make sure that our residents have a healthy and prosperous life. We will continue to work hard at Dereham, but of course all of our communities over the remaining years of Breckland's existence. And as a relatively small district, we are trying to help some of our most vulnerable residents within our communities. And nothing amplifies this more than our Inspiring Communities programme, a non-statutory service which this council made a commitment to support. Some of that work is sat around our match funding programme, supporting local groups with the work they do, those charities who have got unpaid carers, young children, mental health charities, victims of domestic abuse, demonstrating not only the range of the areas of our Inspiring Communities programme, but the array of challenges our community faces, but more importantly, the incredible work organisations are doing. Breckland cannot do everything, and we need to make sure we're working with those agencies, but more importantly, our charities and our residents every single day. And I know many of you in this chamber have worked closely with the charities in your own community, and you have those personal attests of their impact. And I'm proud that this council can support for our Inspiring Communities programme some of those individuals. But we've got further work to do. And our remaining 2 years as Breckland, let's continue to make sure we work in partnership and enable those who know their communities best to do what they do best. But highlighting some of that direct work, Chairman and members, we're now at our 6-month point of the operational stand-up of the link in Dereham, continuing once to demonstrate our work around some of those most vulnerable. Over the first part of that, we've seen over 500,000 individuals helped through the referrals programme for GPs and the community health providers, bringing together partners including Mind, Citizens Advice, Department for Work and Pensions, the National Health Service, our Boost programme and Nova Training. The link is showing as a facility how we can bring all those multi-agencies together around that one-stop shop, providing that immediate wraparound care, not just from referrals, but allowing our residents across Breckland to walk in and access those services. And that self-referral has been introduced and is going from strength to strength. But we're not expecting residents to come to us. We're bringing help to those individuals on their doorstep. Through our Mindful Towns and our Villages programme, we're funding warm home packs for residents so they can stay warm in these colder spells. These packs, which have been distributed through our community organisations, once again highlight that strong link we've got of all of those agencies and our age-friendly communities. As members, you represent these communities and particularly are aware of those in need of help. Please make sure you reach out to our communities team to make sure that any resident who is in need gets the support they require. On the topic of Market Towns, Chairman, and the programme, I'm delighted that we've now got a network of 13 mindful towns and villages across Breckland, with our most recent in Narborough, the most recent to join that programme, tackling mental health and loneliness and social isolation at a grassroots level, allowing our community to play that vital role. And this year, Chairman, we've doubled down on our commitment to our Breckland businesses, what only can be described most recently from the budget last week as challenging times. With changes to tax, inflation, market uncertainty, we absolutely recognise that we must do all we can to step in where central government has given uncertainty. And that's why we've partnered with the Federation of Small Businesses to offer subsidised membership to Breckland businesses, giving companies access to legal and employment help, cash back on business banking and a resources library and more so. Not us, but the FSB who are best placed to do that. More than this, colleagues will see our work around tangible investments to drive growth in our communities. And so far, Chairman, we've invested just under 300,000 in capital funding for rural entrepreneurs across our district. This initiative is designed to boost that productivity and address the unique challenges faced in our rural area. And it's doing exactly that. And what an achievement it's been so far. Just under 300,000 of investment from us has levered in an extraordinary £1.1 million worth of private sector funding, showing that direct investment of a total of 1.4 million in our communities, creating jobs, job security and growth in our much needed district. Beyond that though, Chairman, some of the wider work around some of our targeted intervention, working in partnership with Motorsports Vision in Snetterton. This includes now the start of a new commercial office, industrial units, motorsports workshop space on the site, as well as the headquarters of a new sector, a sector leading in vehicle simulators, manufacturing and developing, working alongside the future aspiration of a hotel and restaurant and coffee shop. All of this potential bringing change here in Breckland, where we saw a vision of place in our community, following on the back of that fantastic investment this council made around power infrastructure, where those national utility companies and government failed, Breckland step in to fill that void. And our team has gone beyond that, working on the ground locally, including the work in Watton with the DCMC around that media centre, delivering that business case and the design work, working in Attleborough around leisure, the National Manufacturing Day in Thetford, the Boost programme across all of our communities, street wardens rolled out in the district, and the provision for debt advice for everybody across our district with that dedicated resource funded by Breckland. Not only do these projects have a positive impact now, but ensuring that our communities can thrive for years to come. Our town centres have benefited from focused investments and targeted support over the last 6 months, helping to ensure that they can remain as vibrant as possible, welcoming new individuals to have a punt on the market town and making sure that all of them, whether it's a market stall or on the high street, has a chance. And we want to celebrate anybody and everybody who wants to invest, but more importantly, come and spend their money in our fantastic district and our 5 fantastic market towns. And that shopfront programme has provided businesses much of that enhanced work to make sure all of our towns have a positive facelift and have the opportunity to put their best foot forward, increasing that footfall and supporting everybody within our town centres. Along with this, Chairman, I work around our work in Swaffham for that historic market town. And I know that Judy, David and Jacob are immensely proud of the work we've achieved in that space, providing that partnership approach, which has continued to go from strength to strength. From the town pound to the Plowright Place, that pioneered initiative has shown what can be achieved with some injection of that money. But more importantly, that legacy and partnership with West Suffolk College, the College of West Anglia, giving students that first-hand opportunity around brickwork, carpentry, in historic buildings and monuments, learning those direct skills on the ground. And I was delighted to meet some of those individuals from the Conservation Project and hear firsthand what that meant for them. Some of those individuals who had been forgotten by the mainstream education system, but were given a second chance on something they wanted to do and were passionate about. Beyond that, Chairman, making sure that all of our communities are a healthy community, and the work we've done with a further investment in Dereham, not just in solar, but the most recent investment around the improved gym facilities and the 3G pitch in Thetford, and of course, more recently, the work we've done in Attleborough. That work is now underway, spades are in the ground, construction is taking place in that groundbreaking facility in Attleborough, a commitment we made to ensure that we could deliver a new and improved leisure facility in that market town. But of course, Chairman, it would not be remiss of me to talk to this group and this council without talking about LGR. And of course, once again, it came to a shock to us all, but it is coming, unlike devolution. LGR is on its way, and we've made huge strides over these last couple of months, working with all of you in this chamber, but more importantly, our communities, our voluntary sector and our businesses. Our submission is in. The government is allowing us to consult on our submission, which we think is the best fit for Norfolk. And I implore every single one of you and your networks, whether that's businesses, your community groups, your residents, or your parish councils, to respond to that survey. We need to make sure that government hears loud and clear that local government needs to remain local. And the best process and the way to achieve that is through our 3-solution model. Chairman, finally, this year and this new year, Breckland Council will, as always, be available 24/7. For those who are in a housing crisis, those in housing need, those fleeing domestic abuse, those who are subjected to emergency situations such as flooding, Breckland will be available, as we always are, over this festive period to support anybody who is in need. Chairman, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. So we'll move on to item 6, which is questions on notice. All questions on notice are contained within your pack and are attached. So we'll go to item 7, questions without notice. Councillor Cogman.
Thank you. This is to the leader. Thank you for the commitment in last night's meeting, setting up a task force in Dereham. And
Thanks for the question. Thank you for you being there as well, Kendra. We absolutely will stand up that task force as soon as practically possible. The officers are now working on those individuals, those terms of reference, and you and those other members in the Dereham community who are elected at town, district and county will be vital to that, along with those businesses and those community groups, but more importantly, those residents as well. We need to make sure that actually it isn't a talking shop, and I don't mind how many people turn up to it, but we have to have deliverable actions where the community are seeing those results. In relation to the report it function, we've got a good system in place, but we will work harder to make sure that everybody across the district understands how they report to us, to county, but more importantly, Norfolk and Stabbury as well, because we need, as you heard last night for the inspector, we need those crime figures to increase when people see it, not to report it on social media. It needs to be to Norfolk and Stabbury.
Thank you. Councillor Hunter-Clark.
I'm not on. There we are. Thank you, Madam Chairman. I too attended the public meeting last night organised by Ian Milligan at Dereham Football Club, where we saw hundreds of concerned residents that had the opportunity to hold the leader to account for the ongoing failures surrounding the NR19 hotel. Failures which the leader himself admitted. We all witnessed unprepared council officers, exemplified by their inability to even state when NR19 was last inspected. These are basic details which our officers should have at their fingertips. We witnessed a very angry public voicing raw fears about feeling unsafe in their own town, let down badly by Breckland and other local authorities, I accept, dumping vulnerable individuals here without adequate support or oversight. The turnout, I think, last night proved something painfully clear, that the public clearly has lost faith in Breckland on this issue, and I think even the leader would agree with that. So will you commit today, as part of this task force, to appointing an independent team to conduct a full, transparent inspection of NR19? Right now, we only have Breckland's word that it's fit for purpose and safe. And given that we're so heavily reliant on it, I think this is important that we have a commitment from you today that that can take place. Thank you very much.
So I'll work backwards in relation to your question, Councillor Hunter-Clark. In relation to independent inspections, I don't think I've got the jurisdiction to do that. If you have a lack of trust in the Norfolk Fire and Rescue Service and our firefighters who undertake building inspections, along with our officers who undertake inspections, that's immensely disappointing. If you have intelligence where you think they are failing in their duty, please make sure you're reporting that to the Chief Executive. I have faith in the work my officers undertake. I have faith in other key agencies when they undertake inspections. If you don't, then you need to make us aware so that we can reassure them. In relation to the task force itself, once that body is established across the sphere of Dereham, if those individuals wish to shadow officers to understand how we undertake inspections of any type of property, I'm more than prepared to do that. I think that's absolutely wholly acceptable. We are working, as I said last night, to articulate in a transparent way how people apply for things such as an HMO licence, what that process looks like, the same for planning, and how we take enforcement action in that same regard as well. I think people were angry in the room, but actually I think they were more concerned than angry. And I think they were more concerned around the state of visible policing within our community of Dereham and across our market towns. I think people were immensely sympathetic, and I think the community of Dereham are an immensely charitable community, and we heard that loud and clear from some of those individuals within that. I didn't hear anybody ask that these individuals were evicted and made homeless. They wanted to make sure that they understood who was in the community, that those individuals who were placed in out of district provided that wraparound support, that those individuals such as Norfolk County Council and the Health Service provided that wraparound service for those individuals. But I acknowledge we have more to do. We've got to make sure that any facility we use, not just in Dereham, but across our market towns, we are aware of who's in there. We are aware what other councils are placed within our communities as well. But let's make sure that we're careful of our language here, Councillor Hunter-Clark. These are our community. You'll be aware from our housing policy, which was raised at the last question, these individuals who Breckland places in these homes are our community. They have a right to reside because they have a connection to Breckland. They may be our friends, our family, our work colleagues, our ex-classmates. These are not individuals who we suddenly decide to house here because it's a nice thing to do. We have a duty to house them through our housing policy for that local connection. I absolutely acknowledge that those individuals outside of the district are causing an exacerbation and a consolidation of risk around that single property. But as I articulated last night, if I was to remove those 10 individuals in that property tonight, I still have to house them somewhere. My legal duty does not remove itself. But I would I'd much prefer to work with those individuals across the Dereham community to get the right outcomes rather than talking in emotive language such as you've articulated this morning.
Councillor Wickerson.
Thank you, Councillor Wickerson. Well, we have had it confirmed by Josh McAllister, the Children's Minister, who's been on the radio this morning to say that the elections are definitely going to be postponed for two years. He has justified this, and I quote, "This is a new set of devolution that we are bringing forward. We are speeding this up in a major way." And he's doing that by delaying the elections that were going to take place next May for 2 years. So make of that what you will. I think that is absolutely tells you everything you need to know about the current government. I have never supported the delaying of elections. Elections are the key vital thread that makes government work. We are accountable to the people. When a government gets into the habit of delaying or postponing elections, then I think that is a very, very sad day for democracy. There is no organisational reason why these elections cannot go ahead next May. So this is a political decision, and it's a political decision not to let the people decide who the mayor will be.
Thank you. Councillor Annie Blackburn.
Okay, thank you. My question is to Councillor Suggett. I'd just like to say thank you for coming to visit Thetford with me, so we could have a look around the places I'm going to mention. Have you got an update on what is happening with the King's Head at the moment? And if what is happening, what is the next step that is going to take place? Because this is just taking so long. And is it a lack of resources which is causing the delay, or yeah, just basically what is happening?
Thank you, and thank you for showing us around Thetford and for bringing the sunshine, because it was a rather lovely day that we had to go. I was in Thetford the previous evening at the town council meeting, and it was miserable. So it was a lovely morning at least. The weather that was, not the town council meeting. Just to clarify, we had a very successful town council meeting, but yeah, the weather was miserable. So it was at least a nice day to go around. And I think Simon helped explain to you what the challenges are around the properties that we went to see. So we saw the King's Head pub, we saw the Dolphin pub. We also even bumped into another building which Simon went away and had a chat with the building control team, because it was highlighted before that in a previous walk round that we'd had, that there may have been some damage to that building. So that, you know, the team are going out and proactively looking at that to ensure that that doesn't get into a bad state of repairs. But I think, like Simon alluded, it isn't down to lack of resources, it is the process, and unfortunately some of the individuals that we have to deal with regards to some of those particular properties. We've seen it at the King's Head, it's the same at the Akash in Durham, which gets raised periodically at these meetings. It's really tough, it's really challenging. It is not from lack of commitment from the team or their desire and dedication to try and get these places back into a better state of repair across our market towns, but it really is the process and those individuals that we're working with regards to the King's Head pub that has shuffled along a bit since we last come to see you. So I will make sure that Simon provides an update, and we'll get it out to all members following the meeting. But thanks for the question.
Councillor Land.
Thank you, Chair. More misery from Thetford, sorry. This question is for Councillor Crane. Good morning. In Thetford we graze sheep across much of our land. It's a great initiative and provides benefits both economically and ecologically. Unfortunately though, because areas are enclosed, certain individuals have taken it to mean that they can let their dogs off the lead. This has obvious dangers, and in March this year, following a dog attack, a pedigree ram had to be destroyed. Thetford Town Council have put up signage and often patrol the area, but sought assistance from Breckland's enforcement officer. Since that time, and despite a lot of conversations, no practical help has been forthcoming. To date now, we've had 5 sheep and 1 ram killed by dogs. Just last week, another sheep was savaged to death, and 1 was drowned after being chased into a stream. So, could I please ask that Breckland Enforcement act as a matter of some urgency to assist the sheep and put a stop to this reckless, selfish and cruel behaviour by a minority of dog owners? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. And as a previous sheep owner myself, and have had dogs kill some of my sheep, I know how distressing that can be. So I'm very sorry for that situation. I am aware that there has been problems over dogs running loose, etc., and that signs have been put up. I thought Breckland Council had put signs up, but I will look into that and make sure that we are doing all we can. I will speak to the enforcement officers and see if there's anything else we can do. Maybe with our street wardens can do a little bit of a patrol of the area, etc. I'll talk to Councillor Ashby about that. But thank you for bringing it and highlighting it. I am aware of it, and I thought that signs had been put up. Obviously, signs are not enough. We all put signs up. We put lots of signs up for lots of things, but people don't read that signs, can't be bothered, don't actually care. And I'm sorry about that, because it is increasing, very distressing for the farmer, and even more so, obviously, for the animal involved. So thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Before I return to Councillor Hunter-Clark, Councillor Monument.
Can I just address a word or two to the leader? I attended that meeting last night too. I was very impressed by the concern, the number of people that turned up. I was also very impressed with the way the council officers and the leader dealt with the questions. I think people did feel that they were getting answers. At times they didn't believe the answers they received, but I think a lot of progress was made. One of the things that was said was that it's not just NR19, there's a wider problem within the town. Somebody spoke about problems down near the Gemini, which is further afield within the same town, and emphasised the fact that we need the whole of Dereham looked at. Can I have the assurance that not only the ward members for Nethard Ward, in which the NR19 stands, but that all of us will be contacted and included in the setting up of the Dereham Task Force, and that the Town Council will also be brought into it so that they know what's going on?
Yeah, thanks for your question, Linda. And you're absolutely right. And hearing those stories of individuals who don't feel safe, either in the morning, late at night, children, incidents out the front of primary schools in which the head teacher has to ring Norfolk Constabulary, isn't good enough. And those individuals who raised those concerns were heard loud and clear by me and my colleagues who joined me last night, but also Norfolk Police. And as I said earlier and last night, we've got to do better, and we've got to do better quickly to reassure the public that they feel safe in their home and their market town. In relation to the establishment of that team, absolutely, we will extend it to every elected member. I don't mind who comes and sits around the table, as long as they come and sit to contribute in a positive way to get some outcomes at pace, and don't come and talk about challenges but don't offer any real tangible solutions. We need to make sure we've championed this, not just across those elected officials, but making sure we're holding other bodies to account, Norfolk Police, Norfolk County Council, the Health Service, primary care, etc., etc. Breckland is stretched like everybody else, but we need to make sure that all of us collectively, and we're working with residents and the voluntary sector and the business sector to find those tangible outcomes at pace to give confidence so that people begin to feel safe in their home and their community again.
Thank you. Councillor Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. I'd like to start by saying that we at Reform UK are 100% in favour of a development of the lifelong campus in Thetford. It's ideal for Thetford residents, young and old, providing a lifelong advantage to most people, and will help to improve the largest town in Breckland by population. Can you assure me that other locations in Thetford will be considered before a final decision is made to its location, as the current suggested location is inappropriate because of road infrastructure is totally inadequate. The town centre car parking will disappear, which will reduce the capacity in the town centre to virtually zero. Thetford will lose one of its attractions, the coffee mill and riverside walk, which draws in visitors. Thank you.
Thanks, Yuka. And I'm so pleased that you and your colleagues are supportive of Breckland's commitment to work in partnership with others around delivering further education and higher education within Thetford through this campus. It's something the Future Breckland document, where we went out to consult thousands of people in every single one of our market towns, but we funded it. but it was in conjunction with all partners and, more importantly, residents to find that solution. This is their ask to us, and of course, through the Towns Fund, once again, we heard loud and clear that need. I don't know where you think it's going to be, but the location you suggested isn't where it's on my radar to be. But of course, we've got to make sure, due to the sensitivity of where we believe it's going to be, that we just work through that. But to reassure you, it will not be at the Mill car park or School Lane car park, as you referred to. I think Mrs. Dean would have my guts for garters if that was the case, and it won't be.
Anybody else? Councillor Westman.
Thank you. Just a follow-up quick question for the leader, if I may, please, Madam Chairman, on the written questions. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Chapman-Allen, for your written replies, particularly with regard to the wheelchair access to Platform 1 at Thetford railway station. You wrote that it's a long-standing priority. Could you please say when it will come up for action, please?
And the challenge is it's a chicken and an egg. We don't own the land, so I need to convince other people that they're going to need to release some land for that to come to fruition. You've heard today our government has stalled devolution. Devolution was going to be one of those opportunities to deliver that at pace. We're going to have to go back into that rigmarole of going back into the Department for Transport on the Access for All awards position, which goes across the whole country. We've placed a bid before. I'm sure that sadly will be unsuccessful again. That is why devolution is so important, so that those devolved budgets from Whitehall come to our leaders locally, and we, as local councils and councillors and communities in the business sector, get to influence where they place that spend. Thetford needs to make sure it has better access at what is the third busiest Greater Anglia station within Norfolk, and it isn't, and we need to make sure we're doing everything we can so it can fulfil its full potential.
Is that everyone? Councillor Hunter-Clark.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, for indulging me as always. Here we go again. We're witnessing democracy being cancelled again here in Norfolk, aren't we? Could I ask, therefore, the leader to write to government on behalf of this council, expressing our disbelief and disgust at what is happening? And could I also ask him to write on behalf of this council, seeking assurance that the county council elections will go ahead in May? Thank you.
So if you've got your crystal ball out today, Councillor Hunter-Clark, this afternoon is Norfolk Leaders. That joint letter is being discussed and is on the agenda for us to send that not just across Breckland, but across the whole of Norfolk around our disappointment and our frustration.
And we have the item 8, the minutes of the special cabinet meeting and the special planning committee meeting that are to be noted. And then item 9 is the fixed term to permanent contracts. Before I ask Councillor Webb to present the report, the private and confidential paperwork Appendix A to this report can be found under agenda item 15 on page 44 of the agenda pack. If members do wish to discuss anything contained in this appendix, we'll have to exclude the press and public under the public agenda and go below the line for item 14. Is there anyone that wishes to discuss anything that will be confidential before I hand over to Councillor Webb? Then the floor is yours, Councillor Webb.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, everybody. Okay, this report brings forward the recommendations to release the necessary funds of £266,387 from the Organisational Development Reserve following the approval of the General Purposes Committee on the 20th of November 2025 to increase the councils established by 5 full-term equivalents. Right, okay, I'm going to say something here which is really important. When we had the meeting at General Purposes, it was a unanimous decision to push this through to this stage. So you need to understand that before we carry on. The report provides the detail that the General Purpose Committee considered and included an appendix which provides further detail, but it's below the line as it contains information which may identify individuals. The recommendation builds on the decision approved by Cabinet and full Council earlier this year, which recognised the need to secure our critical skills, strengthen continuity of service delivery and future-proof our organisation as we prepare for the local government reorganisation by April 2028. Succession planning is central to this. By moving key roles into permanent footing, we're not only retaining experienced and knowledgeable staff, but also creating the stability needed for professional development, career pathways and progression opportunities across our workforce. This stability supports staff to grow, take on new responsibilities and build the capability we will need in the emerging unitary environment. The posts included today are essential to maintaining our external facing services, particularly in areas such as environmental health, environmental protection, enforcement and growth, where continuity, technical expertise and community presence are vital to meeting both current and future demands. In summary, these recommendations strengthen resilience now, support our staff to develop for the future and to ensure the organisation remains equipped to deliver high quality services through the transition to LGR, local government reform and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Webb. Can I have a seconder for Councillor Webb's proposal?
Sorry, the recommendation is to approve the funding of £266,387, total of 2627 and 2728 at point 1.3 to be released from the Organisational Development Reserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Webb. Is there a seconder? Councillor Crane. Would you like to speak now or at the end?
Well, I'll speak at the end.
Yeah. Okay then. Are there any questions? Wow. Okay then. Councillor Borrett.
Sorry, I just wanted to support what the cabinet member is proposing here, and I'm really glad that it had unanimous support in the General Purposes Committee. It is absolutely vital that we have the right capacity to manage change through local government reorganisation. There is an enormous risk around these changes, and the fact that the whole country is going to be going through it at the same time, which means there is going to be very little capacity in the system. So this is Breckland being prudent and getting in there first. So I think this is a vital piece of work and I fully support it.
Thank you. Councillor Crane, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't, Chairman. I think what Councillor Borrett said, I would ditto. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll move straight to a vote. All in favour? Unanimous? Unanimous, so we have no one against and no abstentions. Thank you so much. Item 10, political balance regulations. Teresa?
Thank you, Chairman. As members will be aware, the Council is under a statutory duty to review and apply political proportionality following any change in Council membership in accordance with the Local Government and Housing Act 1989. Following a recent change within the political group numbers, it was appropriate to review the Council's political balance on our committee seats. And as detailed in paragraph 1.7, the following changes are proposed. So Labour Group to lose 1 seat on Overview and Scrutiny Commission, and the non-aligned to gain 1 seat on the Overview and Scrutiny Commission. And there are no changes to the Conservative Group, the Independent Green Group and the Reform UK Group. So accordingly, the recommendation is that members are asked to agree to the recommendations as presented in section 1.7 of the report that will determine the allocation of seats in accordance with the Local Government Committees and Political Groups Regulations 1990 in the political balance of the Council's committees. I'd be grateful for a proposer and a seconder to that recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Wickerson and Councillor Webb, are you happy to second? Thank you. Are there any, would you like to speak now or last, Councillor Webb? No one's speaking? Great. Are there any questions? No? We'll move straight to a vote then. All in favour? Unanimous again, so we have no one against and no abstentions. Thank you. This recommendation has been approved. Item 11, nominations for committees and other seats. Councillor Suggett.
Thank you, Chair. Just to confuse matters, this was an oversight from a previous meeting that we had where we had some changes made, and there was an oversight on the Appointments and Disciplinary Appeals Committee where we had a vacancy. So I would like to put Councillor Bill Borrett forward for that committee. Thank you.
Councillor Cogman. Thank you, Councillor Cogman. Councillor Hunter-Clark.
No changes here, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Wickerson. Thank you. 12, amendments to the Constitution, if any. We have none today. Item 13, any other items which the Chairman decides are urgent. I have none today. Item 14, exclusion of the press and public, only if required, which we don't. So item 15, fixed term to permanent contracts, Appendix A, we've done. So thank you, everyone. We're done and finished.